1941, at least 7,000 Jews were shot in Borisov, and many more died on the way to the execution sites.
I saw a baby in the ditch beside the road that had been shot.
All this happened at Colonel Henning Von Tresckow's front door. He knew about it. The persecution of the Jews has crossed the line to systematic genocide. Apparently, Tresckow only now begins to take the crimes of the SS seriously. From here, it's a straight line to the assassination plans against Hitler. After studying the documents, this is what Johannes Hürter believes the evidence shows.
One of my conclusions is that they accepted the murder of the Jews at the beginning, but that changed in the fall of 1941, when the SS units begin killing women and children too, on a massive scale. It's at that point that the moral outrage, the moral conscience, becomes stronger and become a powerful motive for their opposition to Hitler.
Others judge Tresckow's behavior less critically. Historian Johannes Tuchel is head of the memorial to the German resistance. His job includes researching the military resistance. He believes too much importance has been placed on the new Tresckow documents.
This isn't the sequential diary of Henning von Tresckow. These are highly speculative items. We have single documents, individual reports on which there is a T. Tresckow's initial next to a 1A, the initials of his position. That means he knew something. But please, show me the documents from which you can conclude that he approved of these things, supported them, or did anything more than just know about them.
Finally, Tresckow and a few of his comrades realize that the executions have taken on a new dimension. The claims that these measures have a military justification no longer hold water. It's simply about the extermination of the Jews. The conspirators have come a long way, from support for Hitler to opposition, and then to resistance. In 1942, Tresckow takes a momentous decision. Hitler must be assassinated. He and his co-conspirators first attempt to win the support of the field marshals. One of the most prominent, Erich von Manstein, is approached several times to join the conspiracy. His reply is devastating. Prussian field marshals do not mutiny. The generals held as prisoners of war in England see it as a missed opportunity, as the transcripts of their conversations show.
When these civilians at home say to me, "You generals are to blame," I just say, "Us? We didn't choose him. It isn't our fault he became the legal supreme commander. We can't just incite mutiny." But then, who would mutiny?
Only one active field marshal will listen. Field Marshal Günther von Kluge, Tresckow's superior officer, commanding general of Army Group Center. In March 1943, Hitler is expected on a visit to the front.
It was clear that when Hitler came to the front, his security cordon would be largely ineffective. He could only travel with a few people, so it must be possible to kill him. So we thought about how best to do it. It was clear that he had to be shot. The plan was that during lunch in the officers' mess, when Hitler was to address all the staff officers, my brother would give the signal, and then the officers who wanted to take part in the assassination would stand up and shoot at Hitler together. I'd kept Kluge informed. He'd agreed, even though it was dangerous for him, of course, because he would be sitting directly next to Hitler.
24-year-old Philipp von Boeselager, seen here on the right, is one of the chosen assassins. However, one's conscience alone doesn't always provide the whole answer.
Kluge called it off at the last moment. Originally, Himmler was supposed to accompany Hitler, but he cancelled at the last minute, and that's why Kluge called off the assassination, because he was afraid that it might otherwise result in a civil war between the SS and the army.
Later the same day, Tresckow's people make a second assassination attempt. A bomb is smuggled on board Hitler's plane. It's disguised as a bottle of liqueur. It's supposed to explode on his return flight from Smolensk to the Führer headquarters, but the detonator fails in the freezing temperatures of the cargo hold. There are more assassination attempts, but they all fail. Missed opportunities. In the summer of 1943, the Wehrmacht is losing almost 15,000 soldiers a week on the Eastern Front. The superiority of the Soviets is becoming more and more obvious. The last German offensive near Kursk is abandoned. There is more and more senseless sacrifice. How can one escape this horror? Those who follow their conscience without compromising pay a heavy price. Heinz Drossel sees what happens to a comrade.
A young soldier from Vienna, about 20 years old. He had been at the front for 3 days when he went to his ordnance officer, handed in all his weapons, and told him he wasn't going to take part in this war.
He's court-martialed. Drossel, who was a law student before the war, tries to get him to change his mind.
I said to him, "Think of your mother." He answered, "My mother will understand me. I am a person who was raised to respect human life. And if I take part in this war, then I'm compromising my beliefs." Please tell my mother exactly what happened.
Drossel's efforts are in vain. His final suggestion, shoot into the air instead, isn't an option for the young soldier. He's sentenced to death.
At 4 a.m., they came to get him, and I was allowed to go with him. He refused to be blindfolded and said a heartfelt goodbye to me. And then he was shot.
Cases like the Viennese soldier, where men refuse to take up arms, are rare. The Wehrmacht fights on. Very few recognize the criminal nature of this war of annihilation. The propaganda talks only of victories, especially in the early years.
The Wehrmacht had unbelievable